I am so glad. I am honored to be speaking with a great and fascinating man by the name of Collin Plume. He's the CEO of Noble Gold Investments. And Collin, welcome, dear friend.
Thank you so much. Excited to be here.
Not as much as I am. Now, first, let me get a couple of things out of the way. Let me speak for a lot of folks. Collin, as you know, people watch TV, they think they know what's going on, and they nod their heads. But this is not about merely discussing the travails and the vicissitudes of the economy, which is a lot to talk about. I want to talk about gold and silver investment. And this is something which a lot of people have asked me to please explain to them. Sometimes people are embarrassed to say, I don't know what to do. So let's start off, first of all, with a little bit about the economy, and then we'll move into what we can do perhaps to hedge our bets literally and figuratively regarding gold and silver. What is the economy right now in one word to you?
Well, we're in a recession and we're in a war. So we have two things that are very negative to us. And even though the numbers for the GDP don't look exactly like a clear-cut recession, if you look at other indicators across the globe, we are absolutely in a recession. First of all, credit card debt in the US, 36% of Americans have higher credit card debt than savings. If you looked at during the pandemic, actually, it was the one time in the last 40 years that credit card debt actually dropped. So we're in a worse position now than when people were at home and stuck at home and not not working. So it's a clear sign that there is a problem in our economy. Then you also have this inflation, right? And it's everybody's finally talking about inflation. I've been talking about inflation for many years, and it's much higher than what's reported. If you really look at the CPI, they always pull out data to keep it at that 2% number. That's sort of the mantra of the Fed. So, inflation is really hurting us because as long as they continue raising interest rates or keeping them this high, it's going to stymie a lot of different economies. You're looking at just home mortgages, for instance. The lowest amount last month, the lowest amount of new home mortgage applications that we've had in 29 years, because people just say housing prices are too high. Mortgage rates right now, the average mortgage rate is at 7%, 7.09% right now, which is a far cry. I'm sure, you remember it was in the high twos, and a lot of people have mortgages in threes. Those people are feeling great about where they are. But for new people coming in that are concerned about raising rents, they're living in apartments, they want to buy a house, it's just too unaffordable. So we're in a log jam, Lionel, right now, and we're stuck. We don't know what to do. Also, higher interest rates really hurt businesses, right? A lot of businesses are living on debt. They need to buy new equipment. There's all these things, and big business mortgages, business loans are much higher than even a home mortgage. You're looking at, to get an average business loan, you're going to be in the 9 to maybe 11% range. So you have all these really high interest rates that are really going to cause a lot of problems. And then you have the commercial market, the real estate market. Also, rates are very high. Even on great debt, great borrowers, you're looking between 5.5% and 6.5% to get debt on an office building, an apartment building. So everything is just much more expensive right now, and really we don't have the money to cover it. And so people are looking at different options, or they're looking at what's next to buy. And you were saying at the beginning that people don't know that they can buy gold. It is a very common question that people still don't know that they can actually buy this gold and have it delivered to their home. A lot of people are not aware of that because it's not that it's new, but there was a time that you couldn't buy gold and have it shipped to your doorstep. So a lot of people are still unfamiliar with the concept of buying actual physical gold. You don't hear about it in traditional media the way you do other investments. And that's very specific reason. They created the 401k for the stock market in 1974. Right. So, they're pushing that agenda there, and it's helped the stock market tremendously because the stock market was struggling for many years. So people don't talk about simple old school investments like gold. It's just not something that people talk about. And that's why a lot of people have questions about it.
And is it possible, Collin, for people to have IRAs or accounts based on gold? If somebody,
Yeah,
because somebody may have this, I don't know why, just this idea of having to hide, hundreds of pounds of bullion somewhere. They don't even know how it shows up. They don't know what it looks like. So
right,
there's this idea that and because it's new, they'll say, well, it's not for me because I don't understand it. So let's talk
right.
about that for a minute. What if you say, this is terrific. I want to get into it, but I don't want to necessarily store it myself. Can I do
Sure.
something about that?
Absolutely. Yeah. So you can do an IRA with gold, silver, platinum, or palladium. Those are the 4 metals that are eligible. We do everything. We're the number one gold IRA company in the whole country. We did more IRAs than anybody last year. So we really know how to do it. We know how to help you move the money over. We have a team that helps you with the paperwork. We have an IRA team that walks you through it. The paperwork takes about 5 minutes. And we do 99% of the heavy lifting to help you move that either old 401k or that IRA into gold. And it's not a fund. It's not leverage. It's actually a real gold. And you can buy just gold, or you can buy just silver, or you could buy a combination of any of the metals. One thing that's really been hot over the last, I'd say 90 days is platinum buying has been really tremendous for us. There's a lot of communities. Yeah, a lot of communities now are looking to go towards hydrogen communities. And so platinum is a big conductor in that technology. And obviously with energy prices, everybody's talking about energy prices going up. People are looking at more cost-effective ways to keep the lights on, to simply put. So these hydrogen communities are coming up, and they're talking about doing it in Canada. And platinum is a big component of that. And platinum, a lot of people don't know, is actually the hardest of the 4 metals that I mentioned to mine. There's the least amount of it above ground. So there's been a lot of push for buying over the last, I would say 90 days with people in IRAs. But gold and silver are tried and true. That's what a lot of people are buying. And yes, we store it. It's insured. It's segregated, which is really important. It's not commingled. You actually have your own shelf with your gold and silver. And depending on how much silver, it could be more than a shelf. It could be, quite a lot of
It's like
space.
a cigar bar kind of a technique. It's like you could your little name on it. I've got my gold. It's not
Yeah.
hypothecated. It's
No.
there. It's mine.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
it's
And I go,
mined.
and it's yours, and it's not owned by me. It's not owned by the depository. It's not owned by anybody. It's owned by you. It's your own asset. And, if you think about it, Lionel, there's so few assets that you actually own by yourself
Yes.
anywhere. I mean, everything you're buying a share of something. ETFs, it's a share. Stocks, it's a share. There's a lot of ways to buy a share of something, but there's not a lot of ways to buy your own thing that you own by yourself.
Stop right there. Right there. Collin Plume, CEO from Noble Gold Investments. And by the way, your reputation is impeccable. I'm not saying it other than the fact that it's true, but I've got to stop for just a second. Sam Bankman-Fried. People were talking about, what is this NFT? What's this CFT? What is he doing? And they thought nothing of it. They were saying, well, it's apparently something is Bitcoin and this and cryptocurrency, and I don't understand what it means. And that's okay, because it's okay for me not to know. Then you say, well, what about gold or silver? And they say, wait a minute. It's like, no, it's here. I'm touching it. Here it is. It's gold. Isn't that bizarre to you? That something that's tangible, actionable, biblical, historical,
Yes,
paved with gold, go through the poetry, go through the history. This is problematic. But, and I don't mean to poo-poo NFTs or whatever it is, but something which is a little bit more elusive, they have no problem with, because they've been conditioned to think, well, I'm not supposed to understand this. And gold, it's too obvious. So there must be something wrong if I understand it.
yeah, quick money, right? I think that's, if it's too good to be true, it typically is. And you've seen with Sam Bankman-Fried and the exchange, and you've seen like the blowout of what happened. And it's quite shocking that that he was able to get away with this for so long. And there was so many different ways that he created trust out there. And no one did any, real due diligence, except for it's coming out now that he tried to raise venture capital money, and there was some really smart venture capital people that told him that, the way that you're running this business doesn't make any sense, and you need to have a board that's controlling the money. And it wasn't run like a business. And obviously doing those Super Bowl commercials, I know I'm a big part of our business is marketing and advertising. And, for a company that was only 3 years old to finance and put their name on a basketball arena, to pay $30 million for a Super Bowl ad, and for nobody to really understand that these things are not affordable to a brand new exchange that in theory didn't charge any fees, right? I mean, that was their big claim to fame. So,
well, listen, I don't want to, I mean, bless his heart, he's presumed innocent, let him get his own time. But the point is, I bring that up as an example. And one more thing, by the way, Bernie Madoff, there were a couple of people saying, wait a minute, this doesn't work. But people thought, you don't understand. The whole thing about being a con man is confidence, and they had confidence. So what I'm saying is, I want to go back to this. Gold, silver, it makes sense. It's tangible, palpable. You mentioned something interesting before. In fact, we had spoken and you had referred me to an article, and I'm glad you mentioned this. Hydrogen continues to be a game changer for platinum as Alberta looks to develop Canada's first hydrogen-powered community, and it's hydrolysis and platinum is important. And now with all of the talk about carbon, green, I have not heard anything about hydrogen until you.
Yeah.
So this
it's I think that, solar panels, obviously, there's been a big push for solar panels here in the US, and, we want to get our carbon emissions down, and a lot of been talking about, and there's a lot of money from Obama to the new administration. They're aiding a lot of companies to try to push green energy, and we'll see what happens. And obviously at the end of the day, like, hopefully it brings our costs down, right? I mean, that's the ultimate push, is that we want to get energy costs more affordable, and everybody has seen it happen. The irony of it too is, when we had the heat waves and the grids going down, a lot of these things happened in California, which is the state that's actually pushing for the hardest for solar panels. So it's sort of ironic in a way, but we'll see what happens, what transpires over time. But the world is looking for a way to make everything more affordable. And so silver being such a big component of solar panels, and we're moving in this direction, whether it's the right direction or not, time will tell. But they're moving in this direction, and every solar panel takes about 20 grams of silver. And so silver is going to be a component. It's going to be a metal that's going to continue to go up over time. And, you look back over history, and you look back, the Hunt brothers tried to corner the silver market in the early 1980s. Silver hit $50 an ounce. We're in the low 20s for silver right now. So the cost of everything has gone up. The cost of eggs, it's almost laughable. And a lot of these items that people are buying, food costs have skyrocketed. But gold and silver right now, silver's down, a few percentage points this year. Gold's down about 6% this year. So I look at this and I just say, like, what am I missing? If the cost of everything we need has gone up, all these energy sources, gas, gasoline, everything has gone up, skyrocketed. Why hasn't gold and silver happened? People argue there's market manipulation, different things are happening. But at the end of the day, those things over time will dissipate. And I think that you're going to see these metals here, gold, silver, really shine. And I hate to use that because that's so fitting, but I had to.
Very punny, Collin.
My wife would love that. I'm going to have to tell her about that.
I'm going to put you in the penitentiary, right? I'm sorry.
So, but these things are going to continue to go up and have tremendous value over time. This is fun. This is a Canadian maple leaf coin, and they're going to be released. The Queen's on it. You can't see it. It's too far away. But anyways, this is a Canadian maple leaf. It's a 1 ounce gold coin. And the Queen's on it. And then all the new coins that obviously they're going to be minting are going to have the King on it now. We're actually going to have an exclusive on a coin from the Royal Mint in a few months here that I'll tell you about. But it's a gold standard coin that we're going to be releasing in the future here. So, but yeah, things are shifting now, and things are sort of going back to the basics. And I think it makes a lot of sense. People are realizing that these investments have the upside potential that people are really looking for. And I think in today's environment, when real estate is shaky, the stock market, people don't really know what to do. It's been up a little bit this year, but it's still rocky. There's tons of layoffs in the tech industry. Who knows how that's going to affect the markets later on.
Listen. Can we go through everything that we're talking about, various wars? Let's talk about all types of, you name it, supply chain disasters, food, go through that. Look, we've established that. Can I give you a hypothetical? Just help me with this one. I've got here X amount of money, 10,000, 100, whatever it is. I don't want to give it specific. Tell me how easy it is. What do I do with this? I don't know anything. Look at me. I don't know anything. And I turn to you, Collin, help me. What do I do? How easy is this? Take me through it. Take me through the procedure.
Yeah. Well, listen, here's what we're doing, right? We're turning this paper, right? This $100 bill, which, you know, it's funny. I always keep 100 on me. Nobody takes any cash anymore. You can't, I don't even know I have it in my wallet. You can't disperse this anyway. But anyways, so you have this $100 bill that used to be worth something. 10 years ago, this could be worth something. Today, I mean, $100, it wouldn't even pay for most people a family's meal. I mean, it doesn't, you know, if you wanted to, you know, get 4 or 5 people, I have a big family. I got 3 kids. You can't cover anything. So you're converting this paper that's not worth anything, right? And you're converting it into this. You're converting it into real money, and you're going to store it, or we're going to store it for you, and we're going to walk you through the process. Now, where this can run into, how do I do it, or what's the options, or this and that, you know, at the end of the day, we've built this company. Noble Gold Investments is built on talking to the client, educating the client on the different options. And here's the thing, Lionel, there's thousands and thousands of coins and bars, right? There's a million of these out there, and it, you know, it can get quite confusing. You know, you may call a place, they may tell you got to buy this specific coin. And I'll tell you, if they are pushing too hard on a coin, there's a reason. You got to be careful. The commissions could be quite outrageous. We focus, and we've always focused on bullion. And you mentioned our reputation at the beginning.
Absolutely.
Our reputation is based on the fact that we focus on bullion, coins, and bars. That's what 95% of our clients are going to buy. They're going to buy, you know, these bullion coins. This is the 5-ounce America the Beautiful coin. This is what they're going to buy. This is what they're going to get. This is bullion items.
Now, let me stop you with it, please. I'm stupid. Bullion. I knew bullion cube.
Yeah. Bullion means anything that's minted in mass supply. So
okay,
you know, bullion is you're going to get the most bang for your buck. The most value is going to be on any of these items that I have here today. This 1-ounce platinum Valcambi bar, this 1-ounce gold bar that I have here. These are going to get you the most bang for your buck. So when you're looking at this, it's really important when you decide to go with a company, you want to make sure that they're talking about these items with you. If they're pushing, you know, some special coin from a mint, it's typically because that coin can have a tremendous commission. And, you know, you want to be careful about, you know, making sure that you get into these are the things that you're going to make the most money on over the long term. And this is where you want to focus on. Now, you can buy a rare coin. You know, if once you start building a portfolio, if you see like a shipwreck coin, or you see something that's really interesting, obviously you can add those into your portfolio. But the majority of what you're buying, you want to stick to these things that are minted by major mints, major depository places that really have the authentication process intact. And you make sure that's the key. Yeah, you want to avoid eBay. You want to avoid any of these places. Because at the end of the day, it's great. I see these people, oh, I got this great deal. But then when you want to sell it, who's going to buy it back if you didn't buy it from a reputable source? Well,
let me stop you right there, because it's a very good point. By the way, just now when you were holding up these, I could see somebody spinning through this, thinking this is some CBD ad. I got some, as a bullion, I got some Dr. Captain Crunch. I go, what is this? This is great. What is it? But you mentioned something about, let's talk about, for example, anything like the Provenance. I don't know what this is.
Sure.
Is there this, again, please, if I ask you a stupid question, I'm not the only one. You're a great guy, but ultimately I'm going to get this thing that's X amount of gold or whatever it is. It's got a certificate. It's got some kind of authentication, provenance.
Yeah,
whatever it
absolutely.
Is. That to me is really critical.
It's absolutely important because, you know, at the end of the day, it's great when you make the right investment, but it's even better when you can cash it in at the right price, right, Lionel?
Yes.
And not to go back to Sam Bankman-Fried, but like that's also, you know, the sad thing about that situation. There's probably a lot of people in that exchange that actually were up right, that did the right thing, and now they're stuck, right? So it's important to make sure that you buy from the right company and that you're getting the right items and that they make sure that they're authenticating the process. So what I do in the IRA process is I actually go and I do an audit of the depository at least twice a year. So I go there and I check. Now they've already checked it multiple times, but I do an audit of my own, and I take out between 100 and 200 accounts, and I actually count the ounces of gold and silver myself. I spend about 2 days there and I authenticate it. I make sure, and I look at the receipt, John Smith, and I go, okay, he's got, 100 Canadian Maple Leafs. I'm going to count these Canadian Maple Leafs and make sure that they're there. So these are the things you really want to make sure of, because we've all seen these situations where you feel like you did the right thing. You bought an ETF or something, and then it turns out that there's something that didn't sound right or didn't work out, and you get left holding the bag. And everybody knows, the everyday investor is always the last one that gets accounted for. I mean, you look at 2008, the banks all got bailed out. Everybody was fine. And everybody that had those mortgages that got in trouble got, their credit was screwed. They got taken advantage of. There was no bailout for the everyday American, right? There was the bailout for the banks. So you have to make sure that if you're going to do this, you're going to put some money somewhere, that it's with a company you can trust. And you said, our reputation, you can look us up, you can spend time. We want to make sure that you're making a decision that feels great for you and for your family.
Now let's talk about maintenance. This is almost like working out. I'm going to a gym and I do this and I think to myself, this is great and I like what I'm doing. I've got to talk to somebody. I've got to talk to somebody, and there's nothing worse than calling up and you're talking to, I don't know, I don't want to be careful what I'm saying, but we'll call you back, or I can't find anybody. What about help and suggestions and also resources if I want to learn, because I want this to be a two-pronged thing, investment success, but also learning at the same time?
Yeah. I mean, we send out a ton of information, emails every week. We have a YouTube channel. So we do updates of what's happening in the markets. But in terms of what you're saying is that customer service. Once you buy from us, you're a lifetime client of ours. So even though we're not the custodian of the metals, we're not the actual company that does the paperwork. If you call us and you have questions about what's going on forever, we're going to be there, and we don't charge any fees for that. We don't make any money. If you call us, you did an IRA and you call us 5 years later, you go, hey, I got a bill here. I got something I don't understand.
Right.
We're going to be there to walk you through that process, just as a courtesy to you. That's a service that we offer. And, you'd be surprised. A lot of companies, once they do the sale of the metals, because that's really what we do, they don't want to talk to you. But we feel as though once you become part of the Noble Gold family, you're involved with us, and we're going to take care of you. So you can call back at any time. And I think you'll find, and I'm sure being around and having sponsors for a long time, you can tell when someone's in it for the short term or in it for the long term. And we're in the business for the long term. We're going to be around a long time. We're here to answer people's questions. So it's important for us that they feel comfortable and they know that we're going to be there, if they want to sell down the road. And, we've had people, they've bought gold at the right time, silver at the right time, and they're in a big profit position and they want to take some of that profit and, invest in a business or whatever they want to do. We'll buy that metal back from them and get the cash in their hands, and then they can, go ahead and do whatever they need to. So we're there on the purchase, the sale. We're there through the whole process for them.
It's funny you say that, and I don't want to go too much into detail, but I will tell you this much. Let me tell you what people told me, because I have to be careful too. Listen, I've got I've got a reputation too, and I've heard on more than one occasion, oh yeah. And there are other aspects that I've seen about your company. This is just my gratuitous assessment. You're a player in this thing. And what I mean by that is you are so confident as to your product, you're in it. There's nothing worse than somebody who's in, somebody who's out. Hey, where'd they go? I heard about them. You have been consistently across the board in the, I don't want to say the game, it sounds the wrong thing, but you are a player. You are on the blue chip end of this. You're not a fly by night.
No, and I own a lot of gold and silver myself personally too, and I own more than I would recommend to anybody. But I love buying gold and silver. My wife loves it. My kids, I already have.
Why? Tell me the best part.
I think it's having an investment that there's no counterparty risk, right? Like I own this, there's no counterparty risk to this. Whereas most investments out there, there's always a risk of the other party doing something that they're not supposed to do. There's no risk of that in this investment. Also, you know, from a fundamental point of view, I do believe.
Wait a minute. Did you say fundamental? Are you punning me again? You're killing me. You're killing me, Collin.
From a fundamental point of view. Yeah, I think I think the downside is low. And I think that when you've looked at a lot of investments out there, you're going to have stuff in your portfolio that's riskier. And then you're going to have stuff that you don't have to worry about. And so, yes, I own some crypto too, but that's my super risky portfolio, right? I'm a business owner, so I'm comfortable with a certain amount of risk. I have other businesses that I own, and that's a risky part of my portfolio too. But you got to have some of your portfolio that you don't have to worry about, and you sleep easy at night. And so that's why I always take apart. You know, I'm adding between 5 and 15% of my portfolio every year is in the physical metal, because I know that is the part that I never have to worry about.
I can't hasten enough, or cannot emphasize the notion of metals. Just as an aside, do you know one of the things, you know, every now and then we'll talk about Afghanistan, and I don't want to make this to be a political thing, but people say, I wonder what Afghanistan, what was Afghanistan? Yeah, it was 9/11, it was connected, but you know what's so funny? There was a New York Times article that said that Afghanistan is the Saudi Arabia of lithium. Mm-hmm. Rare earth metals.
Correct.
This is computers, and you have to get into the mining process. It'll take you an acre of mining to get maybe a thimble full of rare earth. Correct. So all of this stuff that goes back to William Jennings Bryan and the Cross of Gold and bimetallism, and the things that people would think we're not going to be talking about that anymore. It's bigger and more valuable and obvious today.
Yeah.
And it makes so much sense. Do you ever want to just scream? Do you ever want to just go outside and say, what are you doing? You're buying stuff. It's like, well, I just bought 100 shares of this. What is that?
Right.
I don't know, but now I'm not trying to poo-poo that. I'm not an expert like you are, but it's look at this. This is my silver coin. This is beautiful. It's here. It's not going anywhere. Yeah. Unless somebody says, we don't accept metal anymore. We've changed our mind. And that's not going to happen.
Yeah, silver is interesting too, in that there's all the investment silver that's out in the world would only cover 11 months of the industrial demand in the world. So like people always say, basically all the industrial silver, you know, or all the investment silver, which is this, and you know, these coins. If you added all that up, and then you needed to cover all the industrial uses in the whole world, which is, you know, the stuff we're talking on, the solar panels, it would only cover that for 11 months. So it's really, as much as they do recycle it, you know, there are ways to do it gold too, but I think people are forgetting that like you said, rare earth metals, everything is moving towards who owns these items, who's in control of these items. You know, China obviously controls a lot of rare earth metals also, and that gives them a very strategic edge. And you let's just look at the microchips. That was a big reason that automobiles, especially used cars, became so expensive, because they couldn't produce enough microchips.
Oh, yeah.
So they couldn't pump out enough cars. It wasn't the other parts of the car. It was the microchips. That's what they needed to get more cars out. And look at how much used cars went up in just a short amount of time, and really changed that market and created a whole, you know, crazy used car market all over one component of the car.
Now, Collin, let's do this. We're going to have a link, obviously. People can go and read and follow. But I want just sort of to conclude, because somebody right now is watching and they're saying, this is great. Tell me again how I start. What do I do? Tell me, where do I call? What do I do?
Yeah. First thing, give us a call, or you can check out our website. If I always tell people to call first, because you can get the free guide if you call the guides. We have tons of guides. But if you call, you're probably going to get the question, the really top of mind questions answered first. So call us at 877-646-5347. Say
it again.
877-646-5347. 5347. And we're open from 6:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then also we're open about 4 or 5 hours on Saturday from 9 to 1. So give us a call, ask questions, talk to a live person, ask a million questions, get as much information that you need, and learn about, whether it's an IRA or silver, or, you want to talk to somebody about platinum, if that's interesting to you, because maybe you've already bought some gold, but you're going to talk to someone, you're going to like them. We're not a pressure type of company. We really focus on customer service. Customer service is our key. We're going to give you a lot of information, and ultimately people are going to make their own decision if this is something that they like and they want to do.
Is there minimum investments? Is there minimum? Is there something obviously going to be worth your while?
Yeah,
but
our minimum we recommend is about 10,000. Whether it's an IRA or a direct investment, that's typically where you're going to get. We're a massive buyer of gold and silver, so we get tremendous pricing on these items, these silver items. Even during the pandemic, from April to December, we were one of the almost only companies in the whole industry that could actually sell silver, that could lock up pricing for silver, because we've bought so much of it over time. So for people that want to get into it, want to get educated, first time buyer, I think they're going to learn a lot from us, and we're going to be able to get them really comfortable before they, decide to make a purchase in precious metals.
Excellent. And again, that number, and by the way, I'm so old school, not because I'm old school, but I'm using like landlines because my cell phone doesn't work anywhere. It's a great computer, great for looking up when, Andy Griffith died. But as far as a phone, so I'm using actual landlines, and I love to call a number and get somebody who speaks my language, I'm sorry, and I can understand, and that I can talk to. That means a lot to me. And I think it means a lot to people. So one more time, that number.
Yeah, 877-646-5347. Make sure they mention that they saw us here on the show, and we do have some promotions going on for people that do watch your show, Lionel. So make sure they mention that they heard about us on the show, and we're going to take care of them when they call.
Excellent. Collin Plume, CEO from Noble Gold Investments. It is such a pleasure. We didn't get to talk about half of the issues of the world, but this is, I love sometimes rediscovering or discovering something that was there the whole time, that I wasn't paying attention to. It's not, and then let's face it, there was that tulip boom, which you might have heard about. Baseball cards. Nothing wrong with things that it's interesting, and they always are dependent upon something else. But metals and silver and gold, it has nothing to do with somebody's view of it. Look
Absolutely.
You're holding up more of this.
Yeah, this is a gold bar it's a really cool gold bar that I love. And on the back, it's a little hard to see, but you can break it off into 1 gram for trading and bartering.
Now, wait a minute. If somebody just tuned in, hold it, kids. Wait a minute. It's not what you think.
Yeah. Right. Not for that.
No, you know what? At the rate we're going, Collin, with the society's changing. Who knows? We may be, hey man, try some of this. You're going to believe what this is. Anyway, but what is the largest bar, just as a curiosity, that one can buy? The largest unit, if you really wanted to impress somebody.
I mean, the largest that we see a lot of purchasing of is kilo, which is basically the size of this. It's a kilo bar. So it's about the size of your phone. It's about a $60,000 bar, give or take. That's typically the largest we sell, but you can sell up to 100 kilos. I've seen actually the largest coin I've ever seen. There's the Royal Canadian Mint about 5 years ago made 100 kilo gold coin. That's basically the size of a tire. So I was able to see that in person. That's pretty fantastic.
Now I understand. Rumor has it you had that made into a necklace. You would impress your friends.
The spinning part about it is what makes that really hard. Right. Yeah.
You see what you're doing right now? We're talking about grams and kilos. I'm telling you, some AI is going to go, what is this?
What is going on?
Yeah. Code?
Yeah.
What are they talking about?
Yeah. Anyway. So the 100 kilo gold coin by the Royal Canadian Mints, was the biggest coin I've ever seen. It's
Wow.
it's a $6 million coin. I wouldn't recommend putting it on a chain, and I'll leave you with that. So
Then again, you can walk down the street and say, excuse me, if this was real, would I have this on a chain? Come on, please.
Yeah, your head would be down to the floor. I think it'd be so heavy.
And for good reason, out of humility and stupidity and shame for walking around with this tire iron around your neck.
Yeah,
In any event, Collin Plume, it is such a pleasure. You are, aside from knowing everything about it, you're just a mensch. And that's the people always say, what a great guy. Which, let's face it, I have met some people in my life. Oh, dear God. You wonder whatever happened in this person's life. But you're human, you're real, you're nice. I don't want to sound like I'm being too unctuous here, but it's true. And it's always a pleasure speaking with you. Collin Plume, CEO, Noble Gold Investments. Please, let's talk again, shall we?
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Have a good day.
You too, sir.